Hello again, and welcome back to the Educational Psychology Service Training Library series on Trauma and Adverse Childhood Experiences, or ACEs. This is the second video in a two-part series, which focuses on the practices in education settings that support young people who've experienced early trauma. The first video focused on understanding the impact of trauma, and this one focuses on how we can respond. We'll break this down into two themes. Firstly, the day-by-day practical strategies we can use as individuals when working directly with young people. And secondly, the way that the culture and systems in an organisation can support young people with traumatic early experiences, or ACEs. And before we go on, it's important to recognise that none of this practice requires fancy resources or expensive training. Trauma-informed practice is anything which helps young people feel safe, physically and emotionally, calm and settled, connected with the people around them, especially adult caregivers and authority figures, and cared for. Remember, before I go on, although the impact of trauma can be severe, it's also the category of SEN that needs the least money and fewest specialist resources to put right. Probably the biggest costs or investments are patience and empathy. So the first really important strategy is to use predictable and consistent routines wherever possible. Children who've experienced trauma often live with a lot of uncertainty. Predictable routines help them know what's coming next, which builds a sense of safety. Simple things can make a big difference, like having the same morning greeting, using songs or music for predictable transitions in the day, or showing a visual timetable. Safe spaces are just as important. These might be cozy corners with soft furnishings, a calm-down tent, sensory areas with distracting and calming things, heavy blankets, light-up projectors, or fidget toys. These spaces send a powerful message. You're safe here, and there's somewhere for you to reset when things feel too much. Children aren't born knowing how to calm themselves down. They learn it by experiencing calm alongside an adult, and this is what we call co-regulation. We often use the phrase co-regulation before self-regulation, which means that before we ask a child to calm down, we try to calm down together. This sometimes involves matching their level of emotion to show that we understand, like, oh my goodness, the tower's fallen, oh no, what will we do? It can also be wondering about their feelings like, I wonder if you were angry because your tower got knocked over, as well as accepting and containing their emotions to show that we are capable of meeting their needs. At the heart of trauma-informed practice is relationship. If we're going to help children move on from trauma, we need to be really tuned in to how that child is feeling. And learning to read a child takes time and attention, so a key person approach is often the best method. The key person just needs to show the same qualities that a sensitive parent shows: patience, acceptance, curiosity, and empathy. And this creates a secure base that children can explore the world from, because they're receiving the message from their key person: I see you, I hear you, you're important. Play is children's first language. Through play, they can process feelings, tell us their stories, and change their relationship with past events. A child might repeatedly play out themes of danger and rescue, or spend ages nurturing a baby doll. This is their way of working through experiences. Sometimes they might even act out specific life events in pretend play. And when we allow them to do this, while staying nearby and being a calm and safe figure, we can really help them process them. Now, re-traumatizing is a bit of a clunky way of putting it, but what we mean is re-triggering old feelings that came up for a child during traumatic experiences. Harsh tones, raised voices, sudden changes, or shaming language can all make a child feel unsafe again. And the language we use to respond to children's behavior can either give feelings of safety or danger. For example, if a child spills a drink, a shaming response would be, "You're so clumsy, you always make such a mess, why can't you be like the other children?" A far better response, especially for a child with traumatic early experiences, is something like, "Oh dear, an accident, let's clean it up together." We can also offer children choices, which is something that gives them a sense of safety and control. It's also really important to separate challenging behaviour from the child. We might say, "For such a clever boy, that was a silly thing," or "For such a kind girl, that wasn't very helpful." Let's revisit quickly that summary of trauma-informed strategies from earlier. Basically, helping children move on from trauma is about applying the same principles we'd use with our own children, nephews, or nieces. We're trying to reset their expectations that the world is scary and unsafe and lonely and uncaring. So far, we've focused on what each of us can do with individual children, But trauma-informed practice also needs to sit at the organisational level. It's about the culture of the whole setting, not just the actions of one practitioner. So let's look at 4 big pieces of this. Firstly, trauma-informed organisations make time and space for staff well-being. We can't pour from an empty cup. Working with children who've experienced trauma can be emotional and draining. If we're stressed or burnt out, it's much harder to stay calm and consistent for the children. This means staff well-being really matters. It could be as simple as making sure our staff get proper breaks, have supportive check-ins with colleagues, or building a culture where it's okay to say, "That was really tough, I need a moment." Secondly, we need to make sure we share consistency with our colleagues. Children who've experienced trauma are especially sensitive to mixed messages. They're typically on the lookout for threats, broken promises, and rejection. If one adult responds warmly and another responds harshly, it can be confusing and unsettling. Consistency doesn't mean we all act exactly the same. It means we share the same core approach: calm, safe, predictable. And this is generally best achieved with a really clear shared behaviour policy. And the early years area SENCO team have a great up-to-date policy that can be used or adapted to your early years or primary school setting. Next, we need to think about working with parents sensitively. Parents and carers may also carry their own experiences of trauma, so our approach with them matters hugely. It's about partnership, not judgment. A parent who feels judged may withdraw or become defensive, but if they feel respected and included, they're more likely to share important insights, like their child's comfort object or bedtime routine, and they're more likely to respect our approaches and take them into their home. Finally, a trauma-informed organisation needs to know when and how to seek external support. Sometimes children and families need more than we can provide within our setting. Knowing when and how to reach out for external support is part of being trauma-informed. That might mean talking to your SENCO, involving health visitors, or linking with specialist services. The key is to act with sensitivity, making sure families feel supported rather than blamed. There's actually more family support available in North Somerset than a lot of people think, and quite a few services are under-publicised and underutilised. The portal for accessing all early help services is called North Somerset Front Door, and it's easy to find on a search engine. And before we go, a really important reminder to look after yourself. Working with children is a hard job and not something we do for the money or status. But it can be mega rewarding, and helping kids move on from trauma is one of the biggest rewards we can get. Dealing with strong emotions can be contagious, so make sure you protect routines and moments that give you time to yourself. Whether you prefer talking to colleagues or writing things down, it's vital that we're honest about the way our work with children makes us feel. Older students and young adults from tough backgrounds nearly all have one thing in common, which is a connection with a special person at school that showed them that adults can be safe and trusted. And it's very possible you'll be that person, whether it's to one child or many, so look after yourself. If you'd like a certificate for completing this mini training series, please complete an evaluation form at the EPS training library linked below. You'll also find videos on a range of related topics, including understanding and managing behaviour, autism, memory, literacy support, and attendance difficulties. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching.